just struggle, almost struggle till they die, like Joys of Motherhood by Buche Mecheta. You see that the protagonist always go struggle throughout till she died. So that's one of the elements of a tragedy, like the struggle of the protagonist, either the protagonist or some of the characters in the play or in the drama or even in the story. We have pillars of tragedy, or you can also call them elements of tragedy. There are those things that will make a story tragic. So what a layman thinks is that it is only when there is death in a story that you say that okay, this story is a tragedy, or it is only when a story ends with the death of the protagonist that you only say that, oh, this story is a tragedy. No, there are other things that must be or that should be in a tragedy. Number one is Hamartia, or tragic flaw. Hamartia is the mistake of a tragedy. Then this is the meaning of tragedy: a type of drama where the characters go through some form of suffering, or the type of drama that end on a sad note. Then pillars of tragedy, we have tragic flaw, peripeteia, Anagnorisis, then tragic hero. Then the tragic flaw, or the hamartia, is the weakness of the protagonist, or the mistake made by the protagonist that eventually leads to his or her downfall. That is tragic flaw. Then we also call it hamartia. For example, in The Gods Are Not to Blame by Olarotimi, the tragic flaw of the protagonist is anger. It is that anger that made him to kill his father, and he didn't even know that the woman he later married is his mother. Then peripeteia. Peripeteia is reversal of the protagonist's fortune, like due to his weakness, or due to his mistake. What now happens to change his fortune? For example, that the protagonist in The Gods Are Not to Blame, after he killed his father, then he went to one village, one thing or the other happened, he married his mother, they made him the king, meaning he took the place of his father without him knowing. Everything was going fine until people started dying. That is peripeteia. Because people started dying because of the sacrilege, because he's on his father's throne even if he doesn't know, and he's sleeping with his mother, like he married his mother. His mother even gave birth to 2 or 3 children for him, even though he didn't know. So it is that thing, that act, that abominable act that he did, that made all those things to happen. So that the reversal of fortune, as even if the thing does not happen, it was not like somebody died among his children. No, it's not like any of his children died though, but his community were suffering. So people were dying, some people were having one sickness or another. So and you know that as a king, if your people are dying, if your people are having one misfortune or another, it's still going to in one way or another affect you. So at first, at the beginning of everything was just going on smoothly until people started dying, people started having incurable sicknesses and all that. So that is the peripeteia in that book, and the peripeteia is as a result of the things that he did. Then another form of tragic flaw is hubris. Hubris is pride. Hubris is the pride of the protagonist that made the protagonist not to listen to advice. It is the pride of the protagonist that make him or her not to listen to advice, and that act of not listening to advice will not eventually lead to his or her downfall. For example, because of pride, a king does not listen to his subject or his chiefs, for example, then maybe as far as he's concerned, he's the king, he can do whatever he wants, and the chiefs do not have the power or do not have the right to question his act. At the end of the day, because he does not listen to the advice of the chief, and he now does his own, that thing that he did on his own will not be what will lead to his downfall. That's hubris. Hubris is pride, while hamartia is mistake or weakness. Then I've done peripeteia before. The Remember, Hamartia is tragic flaw, and tragic flaw is either weakness or mistake, while hubris is pride. Then Peripeteia is the reversal of the character's fortune or the protagonist's fortune. Then Anagnorisis is recognition of the character. For example, if the character or the protagonist has been doing something, let's say this protagonist or this king, for example, has been very cruel, has been very wicked, and at the end of the day he now comes to realization that this thing that I'm doing is actually not good, it's not fair on my people, let me repent. That's Anagnorisis. That's recognition of the heroes, or there's supposed to be an apostrophe here. The hero's recognition. That's recognition of the protagonist mistakes or identity. Like, you now recognize that this is what I'm doing and I'm not supposed to be doing it, or this is what I'm supposed to be doing that I'm not doing. Then the tragic hero. This is supposed to even be the first one. The tragic hero is the protagonist that his or her weakness lead to his downfall, and that tragic hero normally has one trait or one characteristic that makes everybody to like him, and it is that characteristic that will make his death or his downfall to be very painful to the audience or the reader. Now, the tragic hero normally have a particular characteristics that will make the audience or the reader to like him or her, and that is what makes his downfall to be touching or to be pitiable by the audience, and that's what makes him to get sympathy for the audience or the readers. So this is the activity: fill in the blanks. A tragic hero usually belongs to a dash. So Peripeteia means what, Anagnorisis means what. Just write the answer at the comment section. Thank you. Do wait to subscribe to my channel for more literature and English tips.